Welcome back. I'm Sharmini Pires speaking with Michalis Spourdalakis in Athens. The Central Committee of SYRIZA met over the weekend, and we are here to talk about the next chapter of SYRIZA. Thank you again for joining me, Michalis.
Hello.
So, Michalis, looking forward, there are so many challenges and battles yet to be fought. The new bailout agreement has been signed, yet the austerity measures that are going to be taking place, the people haven't quite felt its pinch yet. The people have been suffering for a very long time. Add to that the conditions now being faced with the number of migrants that are showing up on the shores of Greece. How is SYRIZA planning to deal with all of this?
Well, first of all, SYRIZA established a new portfolio in the government about immigration, and it was very timely. That happened last January, and we were more or less ready to confront a new situation. But you know, you can never be ready for such a tremendous human calamity, such as the refugee waves that are arriving by the thousands every day in the Greek islands. So SYRIZA managed to make the issue a European issue and argue in the European fora about the case. However, it seems to me, as you probably know from the international press and everything, that the European Union shows very little sensitivity on the issue. The interesting thing is that despite the very marginal but noticeable on the other hand, reactions from the extreme right wing in this country, we had important movements of social solidarity towards these people. That they came into our country, and they use Greece as a pathway towards other European countries and to a better life.
And the Greeks themselves, who's been suffering the impact of austerity measures of several governments, is now faced with yet more measures of austerity. How is SYRIZA planning to cope with this calamity, as well as what are the measures going forward in terms of the implementation of the demands of the creditors?
Yeah, okay. And this also can explain one of the reasons that SYRIZA won this election. SYRIZA accepted that defeat, that retreat, but didn't accept the agreement as the only plan of the governmental policies in the following months. First of all, SYRIZA's argument is that there are some cracks within this agreement that can be exploited and can alleviate the pain and the social consequences of this agreement. And the second point is that there is room outside the agreement, and one can has some room to maneuver and do things in the field of health, in the field of education, and even in labor relations, which is very important. And the third point that SYRIZA has made is that in a few months, and after the first evaluation by the country's creditors, we can start negotiating the restructuring of our debt, which is in an indirect way, although sometimes in a controversial manner. Now it's seen by the country's debtors as an unmanageable issue. And that's very important. On the other hand, the entire opposition thinks that the only policy, the only framework of any governmental policy should be restrained within the confinements of this agreement. And this difference, which probably in effect and in reality might not make big difference to the Greek citizens, especially to the lower classes, that remains to be seen, made a big difference during the campaign. SYRIZA gave some hope. He had the comparative advantage as an ethical force, as a new force, as a democratic force vis-a-vis the right wing, and the modernizers that compose most of the opposition, and that's why it won the election. It remains to be seen how successful in its implementation this strategy would be, and how inventful the government and the party itself can be, and how capable it would be to be present in the social field and in solidarity networks.
Michalis, now, before signing the third bailout agreement in July, the IMF actually came out and said that they didn't think the Greek debt was sustainable, and a great haircut, as they say, or a reduction in the debt was necessary for Greece to do what it was being asked to do. Where is the government on that issue, and is a negotiation in terms of a reduction in the debt being discussed at the moment?
The negotiation first of all, there is a short phrase in the agreement, and it's a short statement saying that it is going to we're going to have negotiations as soon as we finish the first evaluation, say in a month's time from today. Meanwhile, there are some statements from IMF that they more or less repeat the statement you referred to. And there are some statements by European leaders that seem to be a little different vis-a-vis Greece, thinking, of course, of their own problems in their own countries, such as François Hollande said, I think, last week, that we should definitely deal with Greece's debt. At the same time, Dijsselbloem says no, that this can happen only 15 years. So we have two lines among the country's institutional partners, if you like, that they some would like to they stay in the hard line of Germany, and some others, thinking of their own interests and their own countries, think otherwise.
Now, coming back home, some critics of SYRIZA are saying that the full impact of the signing of this agreement is not yet felt. The implementation process is still, of course, in its early stages. What is the anticipated impact of signing this, and what are the plans you're talking about in order to counter some of the austerity impact that the people are going to be feeling very soon?
Well, it's true. The social consequences, the negative social consequences haven't been felt yet. That's for sure. So we'll see what the social and political response to this it is. SYRIZA hasn't hidden the harsh times that are coming from the people. However, they say that according to the plan, we might see the signs of recovery by the end of late spring. So that remains to be seen what the political and social responses are going to be, and how not just the government, but the party, SYRIZA's party, would respond to this, especially when it's organizing its first Congress after being in the government for several months and having to confront such harsh conditions.
Michalis, you were earlier referring to cracks in the agreement that could be seized or taken advantage of by SYRIZA. What are they?
Well, some of them are very, very technical. And I'm not in a position to say right now, but there is a lot of room in the labor relations. Collective agreements can be re-established, have been abolished. And the government is arguing along the lines of introducing European best practices in this field. And that gives some room to the working class and the labor movement to negotiate better conditions.
So here you're referring to perhaps the European Union's labor conditions, and perhaps the workers in Greece can actually meet the same level of and conditions that workers in Germany could perhaps be benefiting from.
We all know that, however, given the absence of any framework according to the previous agreement, it's very, very important. Also, there is some room in the field of health, and there is a lot more room outside the agreement, and this has to do with corruption and the restructuring of the civil service. You see, corruption, it shouldn't sound as a question of ethics. It should seem as a very important, as a key factor for the reproduction of Greek capitalism. Therefore, it's very important to tackle the structures that produce and reproduce corruption, which doesn't include only the tax evasion and other types of violations of the law. Also, outside the agreement, there is putting in order the whole system of mass media. The whole system of mass media that has been make a power structure with big businesses and the politicians have to be, this power structure should be put in order. You realize that the TV channels operated with no licenses for over 20 years now. So things like that should be taking place, and it seems to me that will guarantee somehow the left-wing identity profile and hopefully prospect of this project called SYRIZA and in this country. You see, it seems to me that the victory of September 20th was just a win in a battle of a very, very long war. Last June, SYRIZA lost. he had a defeat, a retreat. And it seems for the moment that the strategy of the other side, either in Europe or within the country, the strategy that wanted SYRIZA's humiliation, SYRIZA's dismantling, and the making SYRIZA's government just a short parenthesis in the country's history, achieved a major victory. That was last June. And now it was a major recovery that in last election was a major recovery or a major answer to this previous defeat. However, the war continues. It seems to me that there are forces within and outside the country that they still want to make SYRIZA a short parenthesis in the country's history. They still want the humiliation and of SYRIZA by admitting as the only political prospect of the country austerity. And also that's why it's very important to keep the party united. And the party is not a party that has accepted the memorandum. The government probably made that step backwards, but the party itself remains, and its strategy remains radical. What is going to happen in the upcoming turmoil implementing such a severe agreement remains to be seen. The struggle continues.
Michalis Spourdalakis, I thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll certainly be following what the challenges for SYRIZA are ahead, and I hope to have you on again very soon.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure talking to you, Charmaine.
And thank you for joining us on the Real News Network.